world. I wanted to record this video because lately this question came up twice in real life and once in dream state. So the other night I had a dream. Most of my messages from spirit come through in dream state. And in the dream, I was walking with a bunch of people younger than me, and I was teaching them about aphantasia versus hyperphantasia. Don't let the big words scare you away. It means imagination or lack of imagination. So imagination is a spectrum. Not everybody processes things the same, not everybody retains things the same, and not everybody has the same imagination. And your imagination can work through all of your senses. So I have hyperphantasia, for example, which is very vivid imagery, very vivid imagination, which means that when I go into a thought, I can go full spectrum. If I was to think of an apple, I imagine it already on my kitchen counter, which means I can get up in my head right now like a filter is going over the world, and all of a sudden I am on my staircase walking down the stairs, and I can feel the weight and I can hear the creak of the one stair, and my mouth is actually salivating thinking about this apple that's sitting on a counter. And when I get down there, I can feel it in my hands to the point that I can feel little prickles right now in my fingers thinking about holding it. I can think about what it tastes like and actually bring the taste into my mouth. I can smell it and actually smell it in my nose. Now, for somebody that's a writer or somebody that's creative, this is an amazing, amazing talent to have, because I can literally go full spectrum into lands and ideas that don't exist until I put them on paper. Not everybody has a mind's eye. I actually know a guy that went through an overdose and survived. He's clean now. Not only is he clean, but he's a sponsor helping other people. And he lost his mind's eye when he overdosed. Somewhere he said he has a brain scan that showed that his brain actually filled with white matter. I asked for the scan, but he doesn't know where it is. But so he actually used to be able to imagine things in his mind's eye, and now no longer has that ability. He has aphantasia, the absence of the mind's eye. And there are different words for all these different things, like gastro, blah, blah, blah. So I don't remember them all. I have it written down somewhere, but I'm not the kind of person that can pull information like that out for some reason when I'm recording. If you were sitting at my house and we were having tea and hanging out and I was answering your questions, I'd be spitting knowledge like this. Something about the camera kind of freezes me up yet. I'm not really comfortable yet in front of the camera, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're working through it. This is part of working through it. So back to the subject at hand. So the other night's dream had actually come up in conversation twice lately. Once at Bashar, the University of Earth, when a strange man named Daniel from Ohio came up and started talking to me about what question I would ask if I could go up and ask Bashar a question. My ticket didn't get called, so my question didn't get asked. So I started asking Daniel how his imagination worked, and if he had a mind's eye, or if things were more like conceptual, how things flowed through his head. And as I started explaining the concept of aphantasia and hyperphantasia, he asked me to stop so that he could start recording the information for his own knowledge. Not like a video or anything like weird, just wanted the information. A couple of days later, my son had a friend over for dinner who mentioned that she had been watching my TikTok videos and she had had some visions. And I was just getting over being sick. The house was a wreck, and I didn't really have the time to get into a good conversation with her about it. But that night, I went to bed, and I have CPTSD, so that means I don't sleep well at all. I wake up at all kinds of noises. I toss and turn. I have very bad insomnia. Nighttime is a fight every night. What I started doing when I start to toss and turn is setting an intention for where I want my dreams to go. And I do that by asking my guardian or Archangel Michael or whoever you want to talk to, pray to. Could it be your grandmother, yourself? Doesn't matter. Set an intention on where you want to travel in your dream. I talked to my cousin the other night and I asked her if she set an intention before she dreamed. And she went through this elaborate intention setting ritual she did and said, I didn't do much because I was tired. I said, I didn't do much because I was tired. I literally just rolled over in bed and was like, guardian, just send me a dream about whatever I'm supposed to be doing on my life path. And this is the dream I had. I was walking with a group of younger people than me, and I was explaining to them aphantasia versus hyperphantasia. And the reason that I was explaining it to them was I was explaining it not only affects your imagination, but it's also how your body holds trauma. So let's say you don't have a mind's eye, but you've been through some traumatic stuff, right? Your body is still going to hold on to it. You're going to have somatic responses. There's plenty of books, plenty of doctors that back up the science on this. The body keeps score is a great one. I've mentioned it before. Where was I? So what can happen is if you get stuck in your trauma loops, cognitive loops, where in your head, somebody with hyperphantasia, for example, might get in an argument or an altercation with altercation with somebody. And it might not end even when it ends because they'll be doing the dishes and they're still in that environment wherever they were, where that altercation happened, where that fight happened, where that trauma happened, depending on what they're stuck in and what they're thinking about. So they can go full spectrum into something bad that happened to them. Here's an example. Many moons ago, I was physically assaulted when somebody hit me in the face, took off my seatbelt, dragged me out of a car, body slammed me onto a sidewalk, and didn't let go until somebody else jumped off of a porch screaming, "Get off before you kill her," and got the person off of me. I have witnesses to this event because I wasn't the one driving the car. One of my lights went out. So somebody noticed that it was so bad that I could have died and got that person off of me. Now, that same person will go on to be the reason that I become a survivor of non fatal strangulation, which means sometimes I'm just doing the dishes, and the next thing I know, I'm being body slammed on that sidewalk again. It means I'm just folding laundry, and the next thing I know, somebody's hands are around my throat, and their manic eyes are all black. And I'm fighting for survival because they're not stopping, and there's nobody here to jump off a porch anymore. So when I held that ticket to Bashar in my hand, and if I got to ask him a question, I specifically wanted to ask, what happens to somebody in a manic state when their eyes go all black? Dr. Weiss, during his workshop, Miracles Happen, which I happened to attend, mentioned that he gets calls for demonic possessions, or what people think are demonic possessions, but what they actually are is past life energies coming back. And I wanted to find out, with that lucky ticket, what makes somebody do that and why their eyes go all black. That was an important question for me. But I didn't get to ask it. I did get to ask it to Daniel, and I did get to ask it to a lovely artist named Donna that I got to meet. People think an imagination like mine is a blessing. But when you hold memories like this, it's not. I mean, it kind of is, because it's always going to remind me that those people will never be safe for me. No matter how much I love them, they will never be safe for me. Survivors of non-fatal strangulation are 700% more likely to be unalived by the person who had no problem using their hands. I live with that every day, every night, and anytime my mind just decides to throw it back out at me while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm doing the laundry, while I'm dealing with my family, chores, and responsibilities. I get stuck in these loops. Yes, I'm in therapy, EMDR. I scored pretty high on the ACE. It's not something you ever want to score high on. But if you can get past the trauma, if you can heal from these cognitive loops that are getting you, these trauma loops that are getting you and hijacking your memory and putting you back into your pain and putting your body back into the pain that it felt that day, if you can settle it, you can tap back into your own imagination. And the way that your imagination works is the same way that your mediumship ability works. If you follow me on Facebook, you might have seen one of my recent posts that almost got bashed by some stranger on the internet that decided 3 sentences in, that my healing message needed to be condemned because I used the word psychic. Not all massage therapists are created equal. Some have great hands, some have great knowledge. Mine had both and possibly psychic senses, and that set off this woman. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Heather T. Stone. I'm the co-author for Teresa Murata, Intuitive Spiritual Medium. I've written her book since 2011. I've been studying psychics, mediumship ability. I've listened to countless tape recordings of actual readings she does with automatic writing. And our first book, Too Bad You're Going to Hell, follows her story of being accepted by the church for the gifts that God gave her. 140 Peter Niv. Hold on. Is that the one? There's a thing for this. Now, the funny thing is Melissa actually says, as a Christian, so I write for a Christian. I am baptized Christian. I also have psychic abilities and chose my own religion. So I mashed a bunch of stuff together and called it pagan because you can do that. I'm not saying he isn't the way. I'm just saying he's not the only way. And if you don't believe me, you should go talk to his mother. 1 Peter 4:10 Niv. I don't know if I said that right because I'm not really sure how you're supposed to say it when you like recite these things, but each of you should use whatever gift you receive to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms, which means every gift I have about channeling, every gift Terry has, every gift you have, because everybody is gifted, is your God-given ability. Use it to go help others. I had abilities I didn't even recognize that I had. Is it recording? Yes. Okay. I had abilities I didn't even recognize that I had until I analyzed them pretty much under my own little microscope years later. Here's a great example. So we bought this house sometime around 2011. If you've seen my video about my ghost pictures and the weird things that happened, I was hearing footsteps, I was having weird visions, I was having weird dreams, and things were coming out in pictures. So I decided that Terry's going to come over and kind of walk around the house and let me know that everything in the house is good. So the night before she comes over, I have a weird dream where I am walking through my living room, except my bathroom is on the wrong side, meaning it went onto the opposite side. So I already know something is up. Because if you're having a dream and everything is opposite, then you're actually like on the other side getting a message. So I walk down into my basement and there is a man and he's speaking a different language. And I just keep telling him, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Then I walk out and my husband in the dream is laying on a couch and there's a girl sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor. So I sit down on the floor and she kind of just looks at me. She has this long wavy hair and she reaches over and grabs a pair of my sweatpants and goes to start pulling them on putting them on. And I went, no, 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 no. Those are not yours. You do not belong here. You need to go. My other light went out, but it's cool. I don't care anymore. The only reason I have the light on is because all my friends know that I have bags under my eyes, but I have CPTSD and I don't sleep, so whatever. So I look at this girl in the dream and I said, no, those don't belong to you. You need to go. And she got up and she left. And I woke up, right? And I don't think much of it. Terry comes over to walk around the house. She gave me a couple of messages upstairs, but then we go down to the basement. When we went down to the basement, she says there was a spirit there that didn't speak English. And I was like, I know, I dreamt about this. And she said, I don't need to be able to speak his language because if you speak telepathically, language doesn't exist. So she gave me a confirmation kind of already because in the dream, I said, there was this guy that didn't speak English. So she says, there's a spirit for my husband there who's a young girl involved with drugs, something about a tattoo. And I said, can I stop you right there? I said, she had long brown wavy hair, went back down to about halfway down her back. And she said, oh, you see her too? I said, no, but I dreamt about her last night. So these are the kind of confirmations that I've gotten in my life. So I know my dreams are reality. I know my dreams have messages in them. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And if anything in this story scared you because of the spiritual side of it, I can explain. You shouldn't be afraid. Feel free to reach out and ask me questions. Lots of people have been doing it, and I will answer every single one of them. And if you're afraid about what I'm saying because you're the one that hurt me, sorry, not sorry. But I'm going to tell my story. And I'm going to use it to help heal people and get them out of their trauma and back into their intuition so they can be creative healers again instead of having to deal with CPTSD and hyperphantasia.